Texas is leading the nation in population growth.
More people are making North Texas home.
Yes, North Texas is booming.
The economic outlook for East Texas is looking bright.
Did you know that Texas is now considered the most desirable state to live in? According to recent statistics, its population has surged by over 4 million people in just the last 5 years, more than any other state in America. And the momentum isn't slowing down. Texas isn't just growing, it's booming. In 2024, the state's GDP reached an astonishing $2.7 trillion. That's more than the entire economy of Russia, a country with nearly 5 times the population, over 17 million square kilometers of territory, and vast natural resources. Texas's economy continues to grow rapidly, outpacing U.S. averages year after year. It's also home to legends. Johnny Cash and George Strait made country music a national treasure right here. The 36th President of the United States, Lyndon B Johnson, was born in the heart of Texas, and the legendary Texas Rangers, one of the oldest law enforcement agencies in America, still serve today, symbolizing courage, grit, and justice. But not everything in Texas is shining. A growing water crisis threatens the state's future. Towns and cities could be on a path toward a severe shortage of water by 2030. In the south, tensions are rising as Mexico accuses Texas of withholding its share of the Rio Grande, a critical water source shared between both nations. In parts of West Texas, giant sinkholes have opened unexpectedly, swallowing land, roads, and even buildings. Is Texas building a stronger future or ignoring the cracks forming underneath? Let's take a closer look at the most talked about stories shaping the Lone Star State. But before we start, here's a little question to entertain you. Which flower is the state flower of Texas? A. Indian paintbrush. B. Sunflower. C. Blue bonnet. D. Yellow rose. Share your opinion in the comments and patiently watch this video till the end to find out the truth. Number 10. Water crisis. A water crisis is silently spreading across Texas. While the state celebrates record-breaking growth, its most essential resource is quietly vanishing. Beneath the surface, ancient aquifers are being drained faster than nature can replace them. These underground reservoirs once seemed limitless, but in many parts of Texas, they are now approaching critical levels. The Ogallala Aquifer, which supports farming and ranching in the Panhandle, is shrinking at a dangerous pace. Wells that used to hit water at 50 feet must now go deeper than 300, often bringing up nothing. And this is not just a rural issue. In growing cities like Austin, Dallas, and San Antonio, rising populations are putting unbearable pressure on existing water systems. By 2030, experts warn, Texas could face a statewide water shortage with far-reaching consequences. Agriculture is already feeling the pain. The state's farms and ranches consume nearly 60% of all freshwater, and many are now struggling to stay afloat. Some farmers are abandoning their fields. Others are spending fortunes to drill deeper. Livestock operations are shrinking as ponds and wells dry up. Food prices are starting to reflect the strain. One of the most alarming signs is the Rio Grande. Once a powerful river stretching across the state's southern border, it now barely reaches the Gulf in some years. The situation has already sparked diplomatic friction. Under the current Trump administration, pressure on Mexico to deliver its share of Rio Grande water has intensified. Officials from both countries continue to exchange accusations, with water diplomacy becoming entangled in broader border policy. As the river shrinks, so does patience. Texas communities downstream are feeling abandoned, while Mexican leaders argue they are also facing historic droughts. International agreements signed decades ago are being tested like never before. And with water levels falling and both populations growing, some experts warn that disputes over water rights could soon escalate into something more serious. Meanwhile, Texas is attracting new residents and massive companies at a record pace. Subdivisions, factories, and data centers are being built in areas already short on water. Desalination and wastewater recycling are being discussed, but construction is slow and costly. And while new technologies offer hope, they will not arrive fast enough to reverse the damage already done. Extreme weather is accelerating the crisis. Droughts last longer, reservoirs shrink faster, and wildfires burn hotter. Without reliable water, farming, energy, and growth in Texas become dangerously unstable. How long have you lived in Texas? And why do you love this state? Have you seen the effects of this water crisis where you are? share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel to help more people learn the truth about current events. And now, we move on. Number 9. George Strait. George Strait is more than just a country singer. In Texas, he is a symbol of tradition, loyalty, and timeless music. Known as the King of Country, Strait built a legendary career that has lasted over 4 decades. His songs capture the feeling of small-town life, open roads, and quiet strength. For many Texans, Strait does not just represent the state, he defines it. Born in the small town of Petite and raised in nearby Pearsall, Strait's early life was far from glamorous. After high school, he enlisted in the United States Army and married his high school sweetheart, Norma. They have stayed together ever since. While stationed in Hawaii, he began performing with an Army-sponsored band. After returning home, he earned a degree in agriculture from Texas State University and joined a local country group called Ace in the Hole. It was a humble beginning for a man who would go on to change the sound of modern country music. Strait's breakthrough came in 1981 with the song Unwound. At the time, country music was shifting toward a pop style. Strait brought back the classic sound of steel guitars, fiddles, and heartfelt lyrics. Over the next 40 years, he recorded more than 60 #1 hits, more than any other artist in any genre. Songs like Amarillo by Morning, The Chair, and Oceanfront Property became part of the cultural fabric of Texas and the entire country. His success earned him dozens of awards. He won more than 20 CMA awards and 17 from the Academy of Country Music. In 2009, he received a Grammy for Best Country Album with Troubadour. Strait has sold over 120 million records worldwide, making him one of the best-selling artists of all time. In 2024, he set a new record when over 110,000 fans attended his concert at a stadium in Texas. Despite all of this fame, Strait has remained humble and private. He and Norma suffered a terrible loss in 1986 when their 13-year-old daughter Jennifer died in a car accident. They rarely spoke about it publicly, but quietly established the Jennifer Strait Memorial Foundation to support children's charities throughout Texas. Their commitment to family has remained strong through the years. Strait continues to live in Texas, where he owns a ranch in the Hill Country. He spends time with his family and still performs on special occasions. His son, Bubba, writes songs with him and competes in rodeo events. Fans love seeing the two work together, passing the torch to a new generation while honoring the legacy of the past. Unlike many celebrities, Strait has avoided scandals and stayed true to himself. He never chased fame. He let his music speak. For Texans, he remains a trusted voice, a steady presence, and a quiet hero. Do you have a favorite George Strait memory? A song that brings back special moments? Share it with us in the comments. And now, please take a moment to hit that like button. It's a small action, but it helps YouTube's algorithm promote our videos to a wider audience. Number 8. Texas Rangers. For many Americans, the first image that comes to mind when they hear Texas Ranger is Chuck Norris in a cowboy hat, delivering justice with a firm jaw and a steady hand. The television series Walker, Texas Ranger ran for nearly a decade and became a pop culture phenomenon. It was more than entertainment. It reminded viewers of a time when right and wrong felt simple, and justice came with boots and a badge. But the real Texas Rangers are more than television heroes. They are one of the oldest and most respected law enforcement agencies in the United States. Formed in 1835 before Texas was even a state, the Rangers began as a small group protecting settlers on the frontier. They had little formal training, but a strong will to defend their people. In the early days, their missions were dangerous, and their methods were direct. Over the years, the Rangers evolved from frontier scouts to professional investigators. They chased outlaws, protected governors, and handled cases too complex for local sheriffs. Their reputation grew across the West. With plain clothes, sharp eyes, and a quiet presence, Rangers became known for getting the job done when no one else could. Today, the Texas Rangers are a division of the state's Department of Public Safety. Only about 160 active Rangers serve in the entire state. That small number reflects just how selective the role is. To become a Ranger, candidates must have years of experience and an impeccable record. These men and women now investigate murder cases, public corruption, and major organized crime, often working with local departments that need extra help. In 2024, the Rangers solved a murder that had gone cold for more than 40 years. In 1982, Velma Nesset was found murdered in Odessa. For decades, the case remained unsolved. But using new DNA technology and genealogy databases, rangers identified the suspect and tracked him to Colorado. He was arrested, returned to Texas, and sentenced to prison. The case showed that even after decades, the Texas Rangers do not give up on justice. The Ranger badge is shaped like a star inside a circle. It stands for honor, strength, and service, earned through action. Whether they are solving cold cases or helping in moments of crisis, Rangers continue to live up to that symbol. Did you grow up watching Walker, Texas Ranger? What do the Texas Rangers mean to you today? Share your thoughts in the comments. Share our new video on X to help us grow. Every share counts. Number 7. Sinkholes. Something strange is happening beneath the soil in Texas. The ground in some areas is slowly giving way, opening massive sinkholes that swallow roads, fields, and even homes. These are not small cracks. Some sinkholes are big enough to fit entire buildings, and they are not as rare as you might think. West Texas has become a hotspot for these underground collapses. Counties like Winkler and Ward have seen huge sinkholes open with no warning. In one case, 2 sinkholes formed just a mile apart. They keep growing, and scientists worry they could merge into one massive crater. Local residents call them the Wink Sinks, and they are a constant reminder that the ground underfoot is not always stable. What causes them? The answer lies in both geology and human activity. Much of Texas sits on soft rock layers like salt, gypsum, and limestone. These rocks slowly dissolve when exposed to water, leaving empty spaces underground. Over time, those spaces grow until the surface above can no longer hold. The result is a sudden collapse. But nature is only part of the story. People have been pumping water from underground aquifers for decades. When that water is removed, the pressure that once supported the soil disappears. On top of that, oil and gas drilling has left behind empty pockets and weakened rock layers. In some areas, companies have also injected wastewater deep into the earth, further increasing the risk of collapse. These sinkholes are not just in remote fields. They have appeared near highways, shopping centers, and even schools. One swallowed part of a high school football field. Another shut down a major road for months. Once the ground gives way, there is no way to fix it. Crews can only close off the area and wait. Geologists are working to identify danger zones, but predicting the exact location of a sinkhole remains nearly impossible. Areas with old wells or heavy groundwater loss are especially at risk. Droughts followed by sudden rainfall can also speed up the collapse process. Sinkholes are more than just property damage. They can break pipelines, collapse buildings, and endanger lives. What makes them so frightening is their silence. They form with no warning, no tremors, no sound. One moment the ground is firm, the next, it is gone. Texas is growing fast. More roads, homes, and pipelines are being built over unstable land. Without better monitoring, some experts fear the number of sinkholes will rise. And when they do, they will not care what is built above them. Have you seen a sinkhole in your area or heard of one nearby? Does the idea of the ground collapsing under your home concern you? Share your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your experience. Number 6. Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash was not born in Texas, but the Lone Star State played a powerful role in shaping his legend. He performed here often, recorded here, and kept a strong bond with the people. For many Texans, Johnny Cash felt like one of their own. His voice carried the weight of pain, redemption, and stubborn pride. And that voice still echoes today. He was born in Arkansas in 1932, during the Great Depression. From the start, his life was marked by hardship. His family worked the cotton fields, and tragedy struck when his older brother died in a sawmill accident. These early struggles shaped the dark, honest tone that made his songs unforgettable. Cash rose to fame in the 1950s with songs like Folsom Prison Blues and I Walk the Line. He was not a polished performer. He sang like a man who had been through something and came back stronger. People trusted him because he did not pretend. His music was rough, real, and full of soul. Throughout his life, Cash battled addiction and personal demons. He was arrested several times for drug possession, but his turning point came when he met June Carter. She was a member of the legendary Carter family and already a star in her own right. She believed in Johnny when many others had given up. Together, they made music, toured the world, and built a love story that country fans still talk about today. They were married in 1968 after Johnny proposed to her live on stage in front of thousands of fans. It was bold, dramatic, and deeply personal, just like their music. June stood by him during his darkest days, helping him recover from drug abuse and reconnect with faith. Their duets became legendary, with songs like Jackson and If I Were a Carpenter showing both chemistry and humor. Offstage, they raised a blended family and lived quietly on their farm, away from the spotlight. Texas was more than a tour stop for him. He played in prisons across the state, spoke with inmates, and often said he felt most honest on those stages. He recorded live albums in Texas, including a show in Huntsville prison that shook the music world. Few artists connected with the forgotten and the broken the way Cash did. Cash won multiple Grammy Awards and was inducted into both the Country Music Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Even late in life, when illness silenced much of his body, his voice remained strong. His last recordings were raw and emotional, a farewell to the world on his own terms. He passed away in 2003, just 4 months after June. Their story ended the way it began, side by side. In Texas and across the country, that love still lingers in every chord he ever played. Did you ever see Johnny Cash perform live? Do you have a favorite memory or song that brings him back to life for you? Tell us in the comments. We would love to hear your story. Number 5. Insane property tax. Texas has no state income tax, and that sounds like a dream to many people moving here. But those who stay quickly learn that something else is quietly taking a big bite out of their wallets. It is property tax. And in Texas, it is not just high. It is one of the highest in the entire country. Unlike many states, Texas relies heavily on local property taxes to fund schools, roads, and emergency services. Since there is no state income tax to balance the budget, counties and cities turn to homeowners to fill the gap. The result is a system where even modest homes can come with shockingly high annual tax bills. In some parts of the state, property tax rates exceed 2.5%. That means if your home is valued at $300,000, you could be paying more than $7,000 a year in taxes. And as home prices continue to rise, so do the bills. Many residents say they are being taxed out of their own neighborhoods. For longtime homeowners, especially seniors on fixed incomes, this creates real hardship. A home they bought 30 years ago for $100,000 may now be worth $400,000. That sounds like good news, but it comes with a painful cost. Their property taxes may have tripled, even though their income has not changed at all. The appraisal process adds more frustration. Each year, local appraisal districts estimate the market value of your home. If they decide it is worth more, your taxes go up, even if you made no improvements. Many Texans try to protest these values, but the process is time-consuming and often unsuccessful. There are some protections for seniors and disabled residents, such as freezes and exemptions, but these do not apply to everyone, and they do not always keep pace with inflation or rising home values. Even those with tax freezes may struggle to pay rising insurance, utility costs, and maintenance. Owning a home in Texas is starting to feel more like renting from the government. Some lawmakers have proposed solutions. Ideas include tighter caps on appraisal growth, more transparency in local budgeting, or replacing some property tax funding with state-level revenue. But change comes slowly, and every year more families feel the pressure building. Property tax is not just a financial issue, it is also changing the face of communities. In cities like Austin, Dallas, and Houston, long-term residents are leaving because they can no longer afford to stay. Younger families hoping to build a future are finding that buying a home means entering a system that never truly lets you rest. Have you seen your property taxes rise sharply in recent years? Do you think the current system is fair, or is it time for Texas to rethink how it funds public services? Share your thoughts in the comments. Number 4. The Dallas Blooms. In the heart of Dallas, just off the shores of White Rock Lake, lies one of the most beautiful and peaceful places in Texas. The Dallas Arboretum and Botanical Garden stretches across 66 acres of carefully designed landscapes, quiet walking paths, and vibrant displays of seasonal color. It is not just a park, it is a sanctuary. One of the most anticipated events each year is Dallas Blooms. This springtime festival is among the largest floral displays in the Southwest. From late February through mid-April, the gardens explode with color as over 500,000 blooming bulbs take center stage. Tulips, hyacinths, daffodils, and azaleas fill the air with fragrance and transform the space into something magical. Visitors come from all over the country to witness this display. It is not just for gardening enthusiasts. Families, photographers, and older couples all stroll the grounds, taking in the beauty at their own pace. The festival is designed to highlight different themes each year, often drawing inspiration from literature, travel, or classic art. Sculptures and seasonal exhibits are placed throughout the garden to reflect each new concept. But Dallas Blooms is only one part of what makes the Arboretum special. Throughout the year, the gardens host concerts, art exhibits, cooking classes, and educational programs for children. There is even a dedicated space called the Rory Myers Children's Adventure Garden, which blends science and play in a way that delights young minds. For many North Texas families, it is a place where generations come together. The Arboretum itself is a model of preservation and civic pride. It opened in 1984, built around the historic de Gollier Estate, a Spanish-style mansion from the 1930s. The home still stands and now serves as a museum and event space. Many visitors choose to take a guided tour of the estate while exploring the larger grounds. During the summer, shaded paths and fountains provide relief from the heat. In fall, pumpkin villages and harvest displays take over the lawns. Winter brings holiday lights and festive decorations that turn the gardens into a glowing retreat from the city. No matter the season, the Arboretum offers something different, yet always peaceful. For those who live nearby, it is a perfect place for a regular walk or quiet reflection. For visitors, it is often the most unexpectedly beautiful part of their trip to Dallas. It is not loud, flashy, or commercial. It is calm, thoughtful, and filled with natural charm. Have you ever been to the Dallas Arboretum or seen Dallas Blooms in full color? What is your favorite season to visit, and what memories did you make there? Share your experience in the comments. We would love to hear it. Number 3. Lyndon B Johnson. Lyndon Baines Johnson was the 36th President of the United States, but before he held the highest office in the country, he was simply a boy from the Texas Hill Country. Born in 1908 near Stonewall, Texas, he grew up surrounded by wide skies, hard soil, and a sense of duty to community. That small-town spirit stayed with him throughout his life and shaped many of the decisions he made as a leader. Johnson started his career as a teacher in a poor Mexican-American school in Cotulla, Texas. The poverty he witnessed left a deep mark on him. He saw how inequality, lack of education, and hunger could trap entire communities. These early experiences became the foundation for many of his most famous policies. He entered politics during the Great Depression and quickly gained a reputation for his energy and ambition. After serving in the House and Senate, he became vice president under John F. Kennedy. When President Kennedy was assassinated in 1963, Johnson was sworn in aboard Air Force One. It was a moment of shock for the nation, but Johnson took the helm with firm hands. As president, Johnson launched what he called the Great Society. It was a sweeping set of reforms aimed at ending poverty, improving education, and expanding civil rights. Under his leadership, Medicare and Medicaid were created, helping millions of older Americans and low-income families get access to health care. He also signed into law the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. These laws transformed American society. The Civil Rights Act ended segregation in schools, public spaces, and the workplace. The Voting Rights Act banned practices like literacy tests and poll taxes, which had long been used to suppress black voters. Together, these laws marked a turning point in the struggle for equality. But Johnson's presidency was also defined by the Vietnam War. What began as a limited intervention became a long and bloody conflict. The war divided the country, and Johnson eventually chose not to seek re-election. He returned home to Texas in 1969, worn down by years of pressure and public unrest. Johnson spent his final years at his beloved LBJ Ranch. He raised cattle, hosted guests, and remained active in public life, though mostly out of the spotlight. On January 22, 1973, he died of a heart attack at age 64. He passed away in the very place where he had been born, a quiet bend of land near the Pedernales River. He was buried on the family cemetery grounds, not far from the home he loved. Today, the LBJ Ranch is part of a National Historic Park. Visitors can tour the Texas White House, walk through the pastures, and reflect on the life of a president who rose from poverty to power, but never let go of his Texas roots. What do you think about President Lyndon B Johnson? Do you believe America needs more leaders like him? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 2. Renaissance Festival. Every fall, deep in the piney woods of Todd Mission, Texas, crowds gather to enter another world. The Texas Renaissance Festival is one of the largest events of its kind in America, and what began as a dream in the 1970s has since become a cultural phenomenon. But behind the costumes and laughter lies a story that is far more complicated. The festival was founded in 1974 by George Coulomb, a man with an eye for spectacle and a flair for control. He built the grounds on an old strip mining site, starting with a few stages and medieval shops. The first year drew 30,000 visitors. Today, more than 500,000 people attend each season. To support the event, Coulomb took it a step further. In 1982, he helped officially incorporate the town of Todd Mission. He served as mayor for over 4 decades, turning the community into a kingdom built around his vision. Locals sometimes called him King George, and it was more than a joke. He ran the town, the festival, and nearly every aspect of daily operations. The Texas Renaissance Festival spans more than 50 acres. Guests pass through castle gates into themed villages with names like Sherwood Forest or Pirates Cove. Each weekend has a different theme, from barbarian invasion to Celtic Christmas. Jousting tournaments, fire shows, and wandering musicians create a fully immersive experience. Many guests dress in costume, while others simply enjoy the show. Families return year after year, turning the event into a tradition that spans generations. But in recent years, the story took a darker turn. In 2024, HBO released a documentary series called Ren Fair, which pulled back the curtain on the internal power struggles behind the scenes. The film followed Coulomb as he tried to choose a successor. What emerged was a portrait of a man unwilling to give up control, manipulating his staff and ruling his empire with increasing paranoia. The documentary also reignited public attention to long-standing accusations. Coulomb had been accused by multiple women of inappropriate behavior and sexual harassment. While he denied the allegations, they cast a lasting shadow over his legacy. In 2025, Coulomb was voted out as mayor and ordered by a court to sell the festival. Just weeks later, he was found dead in his home on the festival grounds. Officials ruled it a suicide, but questions remain. Some say the timing was too perfect. Others believe the pressure had simply become too much. Despite the controversy, the Texas Renaissance Festival continues. The magic, the costumes, and the celebration of imagination endure. But now, the joy carries an edge. Visitors walk the same paths Coulomb built, aware that the story of this place is more than fairy tales and turkey legs. Now it's time to find out the correct answer to the quiz. Which flower is the state flower of Texas? A. Indian paintbrush. B. Sunflower. C. Bluebonnet. D. Yellow rose. The correct answer is C. Bluebonnet. Number 1. Bluebonnet Festival. Every spring, the small town of Bonnet, Texas, bursts into color as bluebonnets cover the hills and roadsides. But this is not just a beautiful natural event. It is the heart of a festival that draws tens of thousands of visitors from across the state. The Bonnet Bluebonnet Festival is one of the most beloved celebrations in Texas, and the story behind it runs deeper than just flowers. The festival began in 1983, just a few years after the state officially named Bonnet the Bluebonnet capital of Texas. What started as a modest local gathering has since grown into a major event with parades, live music, classic car shows, pet parades, and even wiener dog races. Each April, the streets fill with families, tourists, and photographers hoping to capture that perfect shot of a child sitting in a field of wildflowers. Businesses prepare for months, and the entire town transforms into a celebration of identity and pride. But why are bluebonnets such a big deal in Texas? For one, the bluebonnet has been the official state flower since 1901. It grows wild across the hill country, often in dramatic blankets of blue and violet that stretch for miles. The Texas Department of Transportation even spreads bluebonnet seeds along highways every year to preserve and enhance the tradition. The flowers bloom for just a few short weeks, and during that window, Texans drop everything to hit the road and find the best patches. It is not just a tradition. For many, it feels like a sacred journey. There is a popular belief that picking bluebonnets is illegal. That is not exactly true, but the myth lives on because these flowers are so beloved that no one wants to be seen trampling them. In fact, damaging wildflowers along state roads can result in fines, especially if it causes traffic hazards. So even though the law is flexible, the social rules are strict. In Texas, flowers command more respect than some politicians. Some locals believe that bluebonnets bring luck. Others say they are the soul of spring in Texas. They do not cure cancer, but after months of brown grass, dust, and water restrictions, seeing those wild blue petals stretch across the land can feel like therapy. It is a reminder that even in difficult seasons, Texas still blooms. The smell, the color, the timing, it all comes together to mark a new beginning. The Bonnet Bluebonnet Festival celebrates all of this and more. It is about nature, yes, but also about community, resilience, and memory. The town may be small, but for one weekend every year, it becomes the beating heart of something much bigger. Generations gather to reconnect, laugh, eat, and marvel at the wonder that grows from Texas soil. Have you ever taken a photo in the Bluebonnets? Tell us in the comments. Thank you for exploring the hidden corners of Texas with us. Click on the video you see on the screen to check out other hidden discoveries on our channel.